Hello, this is Ms. Schrader. Today we are going to be talking about the Martin Waldseemuller Map, which you see here. For my students, you are going to need a piece of paper with which to take notes. When you're done, you're going to be writing me 5 sentences about the Martin Waldseemuller Map. Remember, I am looking for a good introductory statement, such as the Martin Waldseemuller Map is important because of this. Okay, let's get started. Okay, here is a fact sheet for you. Martin Waldseemuller, and it gives his birth and death dates, was a German cartographer. Cartographer is a fancy word for a map maker. And he is famous for making the Martin Waldseemuller map. The map is in Latin, the writing is in Latin, and the name of the map is in Latin. It's very challenging. In English, it is the Universal Cosmography according to the tradition of Ptolemy and the discoveries of Amerigo Vespucci and others. We are going to call it the Martin Waldseemuller map. Let's see, what else? It shows America as separate from Asia, not part of the Asian continent. And of course, it also lists the word America after Amerigo Vespucci. And this is the first time the word America has been used for this piece of land, and that is why it is often referred to as the birth certificate of America. Waldseemuller had read the writings of Amerigo Vespucci, and I've got the dates for him. He was an Italian explorer who explored the northeastern part of South America and had written letters about it. These letters eventually became part of 2 booklets, and that allowed Vespucci to become very famous. Martin Waldseemuller had not heard of Christopher Columbus, and he named the lands for Vespucci instead. Let's see. He also mentions that he is using the works of Ptolemy. Ptolemy was a Greek mathematician who mapped Europe, Asia, and Africa very successfully. The Martin Waldseemuller map was rediscovered in 1901 in Scholl-Wolfengart in Wittenberg, Germany. Originally, they think at one time there were as many as 100 copies of this map. Today, we know of 3. In May of 2003, it was sold to the United States for $10 million. In my opinion, really very much worth it. It is currently in the Library of Congress. All right, so let's look at the map again. So here it is, and this one you can barely see the little lines that are between it showing that it was printed. You can see Africa, Europe, and Asia. They're looking fairly accurate, but can you find North and South America? Most of the time when I ask my students, they'd have a hard time. It's that narrow area over to the left, kind of skinny, and most of my students laugh. They think it doesn't look very accurate. You need to realize that this map was made in 1507, and they hadn't really explored a lot of North and South America yet. And so a lot of the areas, they're just kind of trying to figure out exactly what it looks like, and obviously they made some pretty big mistakes. There is one thing you should notice is that it is made separate from Asia. Originally, they had thought that the lands that had been discovered were somehow connected to Asia, and now they are acknowledging that it is not. But if you take a look at it here and you tilt your head a little bit to the right so you can see it the way you would on a modern map, you can see that they've got the Gulf of Mexico, they've got the Caribbean, they've got Cuba, they've even got the eastern part of South America pretty accurate. These are the areas that had been explored in a great deal of detail. It's the areas where they hadn't explored that they're getting it really wrong. And this is the most important part of the map. This is part of South America. And if you look kind of towards the center there, you can see that it says the word America. At that time, they hadn't quite figured out it was 2 large bodies of land. And so it wasn't North and South America. The whole thing was considered America. And as has been mentioned, this document, this map, is considered the birth certificate of America because Martin Waldseemuller decided that he wanted to name these 2 pieces of land for Amerigo Vespucci. This is a map showing the different routes of Amerigo Vespucci. He traveled to the Americas twice, each time exploring South America. Once the various explorers realized that these were two new continents and not part of Asia, their main goal was to try and figure out a way to get through them so that they could find Asia, which they assumed was close by. Maps in those days were supposed to be works of art as well as functional. And the Martin Waldseemuller map is a beautiful map as well as having function. At the very top, towards the center, he has put in two globes showing the Eastern and Western Hemisphere. In this one, you can see that he has put in America, as he refers to it, and he has put in a picture of Amerigo Vespucci, the person he says discovered this new land. Behind Amerigo Vespucci is Aquilo, the north wind blowing. And in different places on the map, he has each of the four winds. Here you can see you have the southern part of Africa. The word Africa is sort of to the top of the page. It's spelled with two F's. I'm showing this because I love the picture of the elephant in the center. Keep in mind that Africa at that time, Europeans had not explored the interior of Africa. They didn't really know what was there, but he puts in huge amounts of details about what he knows to be in places and what he thinks to be in places. This is showing parts of Asia. To the far left part, you can see the Black Sea. To the far right, you can see that they are mentioning Tartaria. This would have been land that was controlled at that time by the Mongols. In fact, you can see even a little further up the word Mongol with a unique spelling, Latin spelling. The Martin Waldseemuller map has so much detail, you literally could spend years looking at it. Here they are giving you certain details of importance, corrections that they've made because there was a mistake in the blockage. They even have a point where they show you that they're actually showing the Pacific Ocean to the western side of the two new territories of America, which was also new, first time it was done on a map. Here you have a colorized version. This was done in the modern era. They've done this with a variety of different techniques, normally doing it on computers. As has been mentioned, the Martin Waldseemuller map is now in the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. One of the wonderful things about the museums in Washington, D.C. is that because they are owned by the American people, they are free for you to go in and you can see the map. Right now you can see it, basically getting the idea of the size of it. And I have been to see it and it was really exciting. If you are interested in a book to read concerning the Martin Waldseemuller map, I would recommend A History of the World in 12 Maps. Now, this is not exclusively about the Martin Waldseemuller map. The Martin Waldseemuller map is part of a chapter on it, but all of the different chapters give you a different map that is significant. You can learn a lot about maps in general. You can learn a lot about the history of maps. And one of the things that I enjoy is the fact that, yes, maps are artistic as well as factual. As we come to a close, I would like to give my students a minute just to look at this gorgeous map and the incredible detail that it has in it. One of the things I forgot to mention is that you should notice that Australia and Antarctica are not shown in this map. Europeans did not know that these places existed at that time. Remember, this map is referred to as the birth certificate of America because it is the first time that the word America is used for the two continents that become North and South America. My students, you're going to be writing 5 sentences about what you think is important in this map. Remember, you are looking to put in a really strong introductory statement for me. That's one of the things that I'm going to be reading, and I hope that everybody else has found it enjoyable and educational. Thank you.